The Akira bike slide.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I lost my fucking mind.
Really?
Like, me and my friend watched it
I
together.
watched it and I was like, that's not physics.
That's not how that works. That's not how bikes work.
For this podcast, we're going to be talking a lot about Jordan Peele,
Yeah,
red
absolutely.
herrings, right? Some of the intricacies that he puts into the film that aren't explicitly explained, right? Which is going to be super interesting once we dive a little bit further into it.
Yeah, honestly, so with Jordan Peele, I was a little bit concerned because I feel like he was pigeonholing himself into the horror genre, which is something that he himself wanted to do since he was like actually pigeonholed into comedy, into like sketch comedy.
How
and whatnot,
unfortunate.
so.
He's like, I'm so talented.
I'm so good at what I do. I'm sad.
Does like the best Barack Obama impression like
It's
to
actually
date.
fucking great.
Yeah.
generally.
But that and like of course like his angry interpreter. Like that
was it Luther? I think.
Yeah. We're at the foreign press conference.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
That was actually fire.
Yo, remember
Yeah.
when like if people could be like joke about like the president, it wasn't like sad and depressing.
Yeah. It's been so long. You know, I can still joke about the president, but it just hurts me now.
Bicycle. I want to ride my bike.
Bicycle.
I bet he wants to ride his bicycle, but I bet the Secret Service is like, no, sir, we can't risk it.
I swear to God, we have like a Joe Biden in every episode of the podcast. But nah,
Come on, Joe.
Sleepy Joe.
All right.
I do like this film a lot. I've seen it twice now, and it's a very unique horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Also, granted, it's like speaking on our last episode of our podcast for you lovely viewers and listeners. If you're subscribed to us on YouTube and or Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we do talk about the idea or the what iteration of blockbusters are today in our last episode of the podcast. And this still, honestly, we could have brought this up as well because this acts as a blockbuster
Absolutely.
in a lot of
I
aspects.
feel like that's one of the things. Like I feel like with especially like you get to a certain level of prestige as a director, right?
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg,
Right.
he became like a blockbuster director because he had the ability to get people into the seats,
And
butts in the seats, right? And that's what you can say about Jordan Peele. Whether you like Nope, whether you like Us, whether you like Get Out or not, which if you don't like Get Out, what the fuck?
I don't know why.
Like that is a
like,
masterpiece, okay?
Yeah.
You need to go watch it again immediately, okay?
Yeah, do better,
You're
actually.
living in a pigeonhole. You need to expand your horizons, okay? But what you could say about him is that ultimately he puts butts in the seats. And by that very definition, I can absolutely agree. He is definitely a blockbuster director.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of there are so many different aspects of this film that I was just fascinated with in terms of just the characters and how they're interwoven into the story and how, you know, their arcs portray an aspect of society in terms of being used and discarded of when it comes to Hollywood exploitation, essentially. Big themes of animal abuse and animal exploitation as well, with spoilers with Gordy. Not gonna mention what happens, but yeah, with the monkey and even the horses in the film. There's just a lot to dive into with this film. So it's kind of interesting to see the mixed reviews because I understand when it comes to a film that doesn't have explicit answers to it, people get pissed. Where it's just like, wait. You're not just gonna tell me what happens?
Yeah.
Well, then this movie fucking sucks. It's just like I get it, like I understand why, but it's also just like, you know,
Right.
you could just put in a little more effort to just
Look at
understand. Like maybe watch it more than once.
Yeah,
you know, it's
I
one
mean,
of those
like
films.
that's one of the things that like I absolutely love about a good film is its rewatchability. That's not a word. How much you can rewatch it.
Replayability.
There we go. Thank you. I English first language.
Me word good.
But like I completely lost my train of thought. Me word good. No, it is incredibly rewatchable. You know, like I feel like with a lot of his films, there is not like this super like cookie cutter. Like here's a clean answer to like the problem, right? Which, as like a lot of us Americans like watching Hollywood-based films, and that being like the general scope of things, they're all very clean cut. They're all have very good, nice, bowed like kind of endings where like everything's kind of tied off and like there's no loose ends, right? Whereas like he's kind of opening this new gate, especially with this film where I feel like there are elements of like Akira Kurosawa, there are elements of like of anime within there, especially with that motorcycle clip.
Yeah, the Akira bike slide.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I lost my fucking mind.
Really?
Like me and my friend watched it
I
together.
watched it and I was like, that's not physics.
That's not how that works. That's not how bikes work.
I just imagine because like if she did that,
crazy.
like the momentum of her would like fly out, and it'd just be like you just like would see her ass just like flying out there. But it looked cool. It looked cool.
Why you gotta shit on such a fire moment, bro? Like I didn't even care. Me and my homie were watching that in the theater.
You were like, "This is amazing."
Like, ooh, the slide,
The thing.
the Akira. What? Like it was because first off, I didn't even realize you could do that. Like on film, I didn't realize you could just copy that in a live action film and have it look cool. I figured that could only be dope in anime. So the fact that he pulled it off is actually an amazing a testament. And also something about the film that I think is really fascinating. There's a lot of like anime like tropes or like connections.
You know a lot about anime, so like I'm
anime.
sure a lot of this just went right over my head. I got Princess Mononoke, and I was like, great,
Like,
okay,
fire.
that's it. I watched the best one, and I don't need to dive in any further.
It's not the best one.
Okay, what's your best one? Hit it with
I
me.
mean, I like Howl's like Moving Castle or like Spirited Away.
Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah.
Howl's.
Howls. Yeah.
Like
to howl.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be. I'm not gonna do the sound, but yeah, that's.
Come on.
No.
I didn't know. Do you know those meme where it's like he's I didn't know this, but she's a woo girl. Woo.
She's.
And that right there is the opening right there.
the mirror guy, like the mirror guy.
Yeah.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
you're like the mirror guy is like, ah! Come here.
I thought you were talking about his Mexican Mexican commercials where she's like, ah, Pepsi. Yeah, flat out, Fluffy is such a good comedian. He's so amazing, like such a good comic. But
underrated.
Going back to like Nope, like there are a lot of elements with that kind of thing in it. But what I thought was really interesting, and now spoilers, there will be some spoilers in here, so just spoiler warning. Right here.
It's gonna be blatant, like super rad.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. But I thought the way
Spoilers! He's scared! Okay,
I feel like with one thing they did that's super unique is that like for a lot of alien history, right? Or like alien horror films, right? Or alien films, the UFO has been a very big staple of that. But it's always been like the ship. It's never been
it's like
the
an actual
alien
ship.
or like the monster
Yeah,
itself.
so
I thought that was brilliant.
that was fire. Because
It looked like a stingray, dude. Like when it was flying. I don't know if you've ever seen stingrays. I've been stung twice. That doesn't feel good.
I don't imagine.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I imagine it sucks.
Feels like a rusted needle going to your foot. And then all of a sudden, you have your friend who's scared of stingrays, and you have to calmly be like, "Hey, we should go back into the land.
Maybe
And
we
then-
shouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah, and then, so like we walk back, and then she's like, "Hey, why'd you want to get out of the water? I thought we were having a good time." I'm like, "Yeah, it was great. I just got stung by a stingray." And then she like freaks out. I'm like, "We're already on land. You need to calm down.
It's like the moment has passed.
We're
So,
good.
like, come
We're
on now.
good." I'm the
Yeah.
one that should be panicking as my foot's like cramping up. It's awful.
Also, that's a very like mature way to handle that. Is like, yeah, I just got shot in the foot. It's all good.
I mean, the first
Don't worry
I'll
about
tell. So it happened twice. The first time it happened, I swear to God, I shit my
Same
pants.
day?
No. That'd be impressive.
That would be
That's
wild.
some badass luck. Like
Yeah, for real.
that's not.
On both feet. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, jeez, we gotta go on land.
Yo, bro. Yo.
Hands in
Steve
pocket.
Steve Irwin is thinking, damn, bro, that sucks.
Yeah, that's-
Too soon?
maybe.
Yeah,
it's just-
maybe.
I don't know. I fucking love that reveal. Well,
The monster being, or the alien the alien ship just being a monster.
just being the alien.
It's just a monster.
Yeah, 'cause,
well,
like,
we
'cause-
don't even know if he never explicitly
It's never explicitly
explains.
stated it's an alien, but
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's a UFO, right? And the thing with
It's
UFOs, it's an unidentified flying
Yeah,
object,
so
right?
we automatically assume that's an alien, but like it could be
It could
whatever.
be a monster.
Could just be a monster. It could
Where
just
the
be,
fuck did it come from?
Could just be a thing,
Yeah.
which is interesting. And you know,
Although it could be an alien just because it can just somehow keep a cloud with
Yeah.
it forever.
in terms of anime, there are a lot of ties to it with this anime known as Neon Evangelion, which if you've never seen, it sucks. I hate it, and it's not that good. It's like apparently one of the best animes ever seen. I think it's very boring, and the protagonist is the worst, and everyone sucks, and everyone's mean to each other, and then like everyone just sort of is not okay at the end. But you know, if you like it, then you have bad taste. I don't know. Watch
This is going somewhere, I promise.
watch Cowboy Bebop. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, so there are these things called angels. We're keeping this all in. I want you to know how bad your tastes are. But there are things called angels in this world, and they very much look similar to the alien.
Like the
in-
plastic bag one?
You know, when it's like fully revealed, like plastic bag.
It looked very much like Life with Ryan Gosling and not Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal, where like
Oh yeah, that alien at the end.
it looks like a little
Yeah.
like jellyfish at
Yeah.
first, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
and then somehow it can like fly through the air.
for real.
That if you guys haven't seen Life is a great like
great.
horror film.
Great sci-fi.
Sorry, but go
anime
ahead.
film.
You were talking about an anime that you hated.
Well, it's interesting because like it also has some of the depiction of the alien. There's if you look at like classic, I think Catholic depictions of angels in the past, they very much look like that. Like very classic before we got the human, very humanistic. You know what I mean? Like holier than thou, like angels with wings. Like they looked more like that. Like very ethereal, very like abstract. Sort of like terrifying in a way. And it's I don't know. I just thought that connection was interesting in terms of like angels to like, and then you know him being an anime fan of like those angels, and it's just there's a lot you can develop when it comes to not develop, but like there's a lot you can ponder on when it comes to this film and what the actual monster is, or even if it matters, right? Like where it came from or whatnot. Just,
What I thought was great about this film is that like for Jordan Peele respected the audience, right? And then I say this in the aspect of like you always see these horror films where the person does the stupid thing, where they just make the stupid move and they make the stupid decision to run up the stairs instead of running outside, or like instead of like calling the police, they like decide to just like hide in the woodshed full of chainsaws, right? Like there's a plethora of like just stupid decisions that horror film people or like people in horror films have like made. And for this one, like you can tell by the title, nope, right? it's like you have characters that are like, I'm not gonna put myself into unrealistic danger if I don't need to. Of course, they are doing it for a.
it's playing against a stereotype.
How so? Enlighten me. What do you mean?
What
What's
is that not what you're going with? Oh, okay. It's the notion that like a black dude or a black person, whenever we talk about horror films or anything like that, we're into like, nope, like that wouldn't be us. Like if you seen,
I've definitely looked at horror films and been like, no.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is like it's characterized as a black thing. Like most people, like, generally speaking, would not do that. No. All right.
No.
But it's like a black man looking at a situation that is just unfavorable, to say the least, and just being like, no. Actually, let me not do that. But actually, that's what saves his life because everyone else is trying to engage in spectacle and engage in the exploitation of this creature, and then that ends up killing them. So like him being like, nah, like, let me not do that is what saves his life. Yeah. So it's like
I talked about going camp. I tried to convince Fumba to go camping with me one time, and he was just like, no. And I was like, Fumba,
it's a terrible idea.
There's public bathrooms. It's nice amenities.
Bears.
We live in California. Like, there could be black bears. They're not gonna fuck with you that much.
You say that. I mean, it's like a bear is a bear is a bear. Like what the fuck? Like Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's not bears, it's lions.
So,
It's
I mean,
not lions,
I
they're
guess
beavers.
I guess I see what you mean. Because, like, I also asked him, hey, we should go skydiving for, like, the opener of Everybody Eats. And he's like, no. That's some white people shit. And I was like, damn. I didn't know that was strictly white people. But apparently, like, that's a thing.
I mean, I would assume. I don't know. I actually know one too many black people who are down to do that. And to me, I'm just like, well, you just don't value your life or yourself that much. But that's just me. Maybe I'm a coward. I don't know. But I'm okay with that. I'll live in my truth. I'll just accept that.
This is my world. This is my reality.
This is my reality.
You can't stop me from this shit.
But anyway, in terms of this film, there's a lot that we can dive into. Personally, we really can't do it that much justice in terms of explaining all the greater points of why this film is worth looking into and worth investing your time watching more than once.
Yeah.
But if you do want to check it out, there is our resident member of Everybody Eats, Shaylin.
Yeah, she did a great review on it, on why you shouldn't hate this film.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. It's not my favorite horror film. I'm sorry. It's not.
Yeah.
I've seen too many horror films for it to be like, this is my favorite. Is it the worst? No. No.
It's
but
fucking
by
great.
far, it is not. It is a very good film. It's a very well-constructed film, you know, and I think it deals with a lot of things if you look at it, if you dive deep into it. Like, one thing that, some of the minutia with it is this scene with, as you say, the monkey or the chimpanzee, which... chimpanzee.
Gordy.
Yeah, Gordy, right? And in the film, spoiler alert, Gordy snaps something in his brain, and he starts fucking people up.
Just fuck shit up so hard.
Eats a person's face.
Yeah.
You know, like just does some really horrible things, right? To these people, right?
Yeah.
And granted, these people also made him perform like Dance Monkey Dance.
I mean, yeah, no, they're not great, but like you have to think about it in a sense, like, was that the actor's fault or was it the producer's fault, right? Because the actors got killed for the producers like exploiting of monkeys, and also Gordy. I never peeped Game until the second time, but there's like a bunch of Gordys at that time. He's not the only one. He was just that specific monkey.
Yeah.
That lost.
But
his mind.
once that happened, they were like,
and we're done with using monkeys.
With the whole chimpanzee thing, I was like, I knew exactly where they were going to be going with this shit.
I didn't know it was based off a real thing. Like,
have you ever seen like a chimpanzee with like none of its hair on? Like, this guy is just jacked.
No,
like,
they're
it's
ripped.
strong. Like, think about it this for a second. How strong The Rock is, and this motherfucker like works out all the time.
Yeah, but like
That's the average ass chimpanzee.
Yeah, just off principle.
Just like I'm just like, this is my normal Tuesday.
Born like that.
Yo.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yep.
Being that strong.
And like they could like put their finger on your nose and they'll just rip that fucker off.
Also-
They'll be like, you got a weird looking nose.
And it's like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Also, it's just funny because
No.
it's just like chimps are the fucking worst to each other and to everyone else around them. Like they just choose violence at all times.
Yeah.
That's why
They should have chose a bonobo, man.
Yeah, bonobos are fire.
That's because they're run by women.
Because they're all
females,
women.
females.
Because they're all female.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just an entirely...
Well, they're not all females. Not like they're not like Wonder Woman over here.
But it's like a heavily female society where
they're a monarchy, or not a monarchy. Fuck, what's it called? It's patriarchy. The patriarchy is with male dominated and.
Monarchy is just like,
that's just English royalty.
English royalty. So I mean that's not Matriarchy.
See, monarchy was very close. Okay. Yes, so like they're essentially bonobos, they're run as a matriarchy, and let me tell you something, they're hella peaceful.
They're really dope.
If they get all like crazy or something, they'll be like, yo,
like chill the fuck out, dog.
You need to leave.
Yeah.
Go across the Congo.
Yeah, they'll just like excommunicate you. Where like chimps is like, you're gonna die.
Yeah, like
I'm gonna rip off your balls.
They'll do that.
They did all. That's their go-to move.
Like if you're too much of a sexual threat for like you'd be like, yo, this guy's like packing heat, and be like, no, he's not. Not today.
This guy's fucking all our wives. It's like, is he though? Like, yeah. Like, that's just crazy. You know, you should never have that on a film set.
No, but
animals that live by those
but like
principles.
I think kind of diving into like the whole animal thing, right? Especially with like, you know, within recent memory, you have like, you know, documentaries like Blackfish that came out and stuff like that. I think the whole ideology of like having animals that are wild animals, right? That we can't. They're not dogs. They're not domesticated, right? They ultimately have like wild like tendencies that are just bred within their very genome, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like within recent memory, there's been this huge shift as far as like what you can do with an animal on set, what you can't do with an animal on set.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
And I feel like chimpanzees, they should have never been on this set.
They never should have been on
They
set.
shouldn't have been here.
But also, it's just like human beings, like a human's need to domesticate anything that we could, for whatever reason, deem as cute or
Yeah.
like adorable. For you know, like certain, just there's just, well, most animals honestly should not be domesticated. Like
Yeah.
dogs and cats, like that's over the
They-
course of centuries. Of,
Yeah,
like,
and
we
let's make this clear. Cats are the only ones where they were like, I think I'm gonna hang out with these people.
like I'm gonna kick it with you.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
I like if I was big enough, I would fucking hate you.
You know exactly.
Like you can see a
like
cat.
like a big cat. A big cat will.
I
fuck
don't
you
understand.
up.
Like,
why would you have a tiger as a pet, dog?
Yo, you're
It's
not
like-
Mike Tyson, okay?
Yeah.
You can't just make somebody go night night, okay?
Because I feel like Mike Tyson will sleep a tiger. Like, I feel like it's possible. It's possible for sure. But like an average person, like
No.
Tiger King, no, bro, you're not that. Like
You're an idiot.
he wasn't that. So who the fuck are you?
No,
You know.
no.
That's why it's like there's certain limits to what human beings should have as pets. Let alone having a pet, and other than an understood alliance between dogs and humans,
Yeah.
is almost belittling the creature in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you're trying to subjugate this creature to be lesser than what it is,
Right.
which it would be in the wild, but
Right.
because you
But
are
we're also poisoning the wild, so where are they gonna go?
exactly. So I mean, I guess they have to do it.
It's either go run around in the India or where tigers are, or hang out in Wisconsin with the Tiger King.
Yeah. I will say there's a very huge problem of just wildlife just being out there and no one really doing anything about it.
I mean, that's the thing. It's wild.
I mean, it's wild, yeah, but it's also like, damn, y'all don't have any kind of security measures for...
Tigers? No, their only security measure is to wear like a mask on the back of their head with eyeballs, where it's just like,
Yeah, I guess
and then
so.
the tiger's like,
Like, damn, that motherfucker's looking at me.
yeah, I can't get him.
Damn. He's staring me down. Jeez.
Run around. He's facing the other way. He's walking backwards.
I blinked.
Fuck, he turned around.
I mean,
Tigers are stupid. Don't kill me. No, but I think that's something that this film does a really good job with, you know, kind of talking about that whole angle of like animals and like and how they have helped us in the long run. A big one, not going beyond like the chimpanzee, which I thought kind of solidified that discussion of like animals and animal abuse within film and media, right? But they also talk about horses. Now, horses have a historic cinema where they were like legit killed just for film. Right, where, like, there's
that's
been-
crazy. I remember that.
Yeah,
Actually.
like
Yeah.
there's multiple films where like before like the where there was, I forgot what the organization was, but like where they like there was, it was like a World War I film, and they just put like a wire across, and they didn't tell the horses.
And they'll just
They just were like, charge, motherfucker, and then they charged, and they all like they broke their leg. And I don't know if you know anything about horses. If you break your leg,
you're dead.
you're dead.
Yeah, because you can't do anything. Your
Yeah.
leg is broken. Like
So I think that's kind of an interesting like look at that, because horses,
Yeah.
I say above, arguably, correct me if I'm wrong, but like are probably one of, if not the most abused animal in cinematic history,
Well, I mean-
without a doubt.
there's also like a correlation in the film that I'm almost 100% positive that Jordan Peele is trying to make a connection to in terms of like the workhorse and the exploitation of a literal horse versus like the exploitation of a black man in cinema, right? Where like the whole thing is that as a black man on the horse was the first thing that was ever recorded on film, and both were exploited for the sake of someone else's vision of like the horse is just treated as just another animal, and the black man fades into obscurity, even though he is like the face of cinema, literally, right? So there is a correlation into that. Not to mention the father.
That is interesting because, like, I remember, like, when I went to film school, that we talked, we talked about that clip with the black
We
man
did
on
talk
the
about
horse,
that, yeah.
but we talked about
We talked about the
Stanford.
director.
We talked about
Yeah.
Stanford. I believe it was Stanford.
Yeah,
who like led the like 12 camera. It was Stanford and Edison, I believe.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below.
Believe
But
that.
like,
Sounds familiar.
but we don't know who
Well, no.
who the guy is. We don't know who the guy who on the horseback was. It wasn't even brought up in the conversation. You were just like, wow, that's cool. Moving horse.
Well,
Moving on.
You know, it was crazy because I remember being in school and I was next to like several black people, and then they're just that literally happened where they're talking about like, yeah, so this black man was the first man who ever shown on film ever. The first
Moving on.
person. And then talk about the director, and I'm just like, yo, what about this dude? Like, it's like what? Like,
Yeah.
I want to know about him. What's his fucking name?
Yeah, can we just get his name? That'd be great.
I still kind of don't know his name.
Yeah.
I know they said it in the film, and I think that's his actual name, but I genuinely don't remember.
I don't know.
So it's just fucked.
Yeah,
It's like,
that,
damn.
to be honest, like that's such an interesting angle of looking at things. You know, with that, I didn't take that into perspective, like the connection between horses and black men or black people for that matter.
Well, specifically in Hollywood, in terms of being exploited, right? Where it's just
Well, especially in the early days with God, I'm blanking on everything. What was that awful film?
Birth of a Nation.
Birth of a fucking
I
Nation.
mean, there weren't any black people in that.
No, there's a whole fuck ton of blackface. Let me
There's
tell
a
you
lot
something.
of blackface.
Don't do that. Just don't.
You know, it's crazy. This is off topic, but I didn't see. I saw it obviously, but I didn't see it in college. I saw it like in high school. But I saw. Yeah,
That's hella random.
it's
We're like, all right, today, class, we're gonna watch a super racist film.
just like it was like
Look at it for its technical prowess.
that was for like a history class, but I was still just like, that's wild. We're watching this right now.
Yeah.
But we ended up not watching that film because my our teacher, actually was like, I'm not gonna show this film because it's super fucked up. But I am gonna show this other film where he's in yellowface,
Which is less
which
fucked
is
up.
less fucked up, pretending to be Asian.
What?
I'm just like, lady, you are Korean. Why are you showing us this fucking film? Anyway,
I mean, that film is also like
there.
about a pedophile. Like Heike, he's pursuing
Oh, yeah,
like
there's that.
a girl. Like
Yeah.
she's not a woman. She's a girl.
She's like 14.
Yeah, and she's like
Yeah, the whole first. Let me just
early
state,
cinema was not good.
G.W. Griffith or J.W. Griffith,
Fucked
whatever the
up,
fuck his
dude.
name is.
Yeah.
Fuck you, like awful human being, and then don't like. I really wish,
you're still alive, motherfucker.
because I'm glad you're dead. And you know, I just really wish that like they wouldn't show that in film school anymore. I just don't see. The
I
purpose of it.
get the like the technical prowess of it, but to be honest with you, I hear
I don't think it's worth
when you could show Citizen Kane and get the same amount of educational input out of it, the same technical prowess out of it. Because here's the thing, as films progress, right? And obviously, when films first came about, it was an emerging technology. It was an emerging emerging art form, right? And because of that, the general knowledge and the general like the zeitgeist of understanding towards the cinematic techniques and cinematic storytelling was limited in the general public, right? But as we've developed as a group, as a community, as a society where media, where film and visual based platforms are all the raves, TikTok being the most popular one of those right now, right? Yeah. All these visual based platforms are based on the fundamental techniques that were founded within cinema, right? So I feel like our general zeitgeist of film, of media, I feel like we can get away with like, okay, we can talk about it in a history-based sense, but like, do we need to sit there and watch the fucking thing? No, yeah. I don't think we do.
Well,
I really don't think we do. I agree with you 100%.
I just don't think we should be using these films that are celebrated for the technical prowess, but focus on the exploitation of any race of people. Like, we shouldn't be looking at these films that are dated and are genuinely hurtful in terms of the abuse and showcase and misrepresentation of different people, especially with
Now, that's
a
not to
white
say
man
that-
in blackface.
Yeah,
or
yeah, exactly.
yellow
Yes.
face, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other note of that, like, do I think that like we shouldn't be showing films that are painful, that showing films that are like gonna bring into an interesting conversation? No, but I feel
Well, I
like
think the conversation needs to be there.
but I feel like there's better films than a film that just has a bunch of fucking white people dressed in blackface acting like a psychopath, right? It's like there's better representations of it, but do I still think that we should be having? That's the beauty of film. It opens the door for conversation, right? I think you should, like, one of the big things is I think recently was To Kill a Mockingbird was taken off of the reading list in some states. And I think that is absolutely disgusting.
Well, I feel like
and here's why. It's because it deals with a really fucked subject, right? But does that mean that we shouldn't be discussing that painful subject? I think by us ignoring that subject does a disservice to the millions of people that were affected by the variety of subjects that are dealt with within that film. Mental illness, racism, right? Go what have you, you know?
False allegations of black men,
Yes.
white women, and so on and so forth. Which
Justice,
happens.
American
And-
freedom. These are things that should be discussed, right? So, like, is it a painful subject? Should we talk about it? Yes. Does that mean that, like, there aren't films that we shouldn't talk about? Yes. I feel like Birth of a Nation. Throw that fucker
I feel like
in
we
the
don't need to talk about that. Yeah.
Throw it into the goddamn heap. Yeah.
Well, I found it interesting about because I recently found out about that, and it's weird because that was never a problem before. Like, no one ever said, like, growing up,
We're fixing this.
Growing up, that was the book that I was always told to read.
Yeah.
It was just like To Kill a Mockingbird, and when I first read it, I was like, I don't want to read this. But now, as an adult, it's like I needed to read this. I needed to know this context through this book, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for learning that. So for people to want to take it out just so that they don't want to feel bad,
Yeah,
just
because
so
you
they
don't
want to
you,
think about it.
You're like, this is hurting people.
Like, it's
no,
hurting people. It's like, no, it's
I mean, good.
it's hurting
should.
me more than you, dog.
Yeah.
and generally speaking, not having this conversation is just ignoring the problems that have been instilled within this country. Like, it's this very symptomatic of a greater thing. And this is like fucking fiction, bro. Like, this is a fictional story. This shit actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? Even if you ban this story, it doesn't erase history. It doesn't erase the fact that these things actually did take place. I do feel like the importance of films like Nope is to talk about or having those discussions of exploitation. And
I mean, for me, this film, like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't pick up on that, and that just might be because I'm white, and that's not something that I like initially come off with when I watch this film.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to kind of hear you talk about like that kind of perspective when you watch this film, and the fact that there is that exploitation within the industry. I think that's an interesting area of discussion.
Well, I feel like at this point now, it's fair to say like Jordan Peele talks about black people and like the experiences of black people, but it took me like twice to watch it to really get it, because I understood it was exploitation. I just didn't know to what degree, and I was very confused in certain aspects. But it's one of those films you should watch twice, or if you don't have time, watch Shaylin's video. Shouts out to you. Hey, it's here. It's like somewhere here, maybe in the bottom. We'll figure it out at some point.
It'll be an icon.
Okay. But there is one aspect of the film that I feel like is not overlooked, but I think slightly misunderstood. Granted, it's subjective, because with Jordan Peele, he leaves everything up for debate in terms of what anything could mean. But I think this specific thing, I have a theory that I think holds up sort of well.
Okay.
But for that, I think we have to talk about a specific writing device that is overlooked or misunderstood in cinema, because there's a certain need for us to have everything laid out and explicitly stated.
Right.
And that writing tool is known as the red herring, right? So, like, what are your thoughts on that? Or like, what do you
So I mean,
what do you think a red herring is?
I think the scene that like comes up most in mind is this shoe in Jordan Peele, spoiler alert. There's this shoe where like it like amongst all this chaos, amongst everything that's happening in this scene, right, where the chimpanzees are beating the shit out of everybody, you know, killing everybody. Also, why wasn't there a gun there?
Yeah, you think
Like,
there's
if
like
they-
security with a gun.
Come on.
That's crazy. Unless he like bodied that
he-
security
he-
guard, like
The guy's
first,
like, you
what I
know,
mean?
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna leave.
He's just like, all right.
Yeah.
Like holsters the gun,
I'm
and walks
outta-
away. Yeah.
I'm gonna go get a burrito.
Well, give me a hoagie.
Hoagie. Amongst all the chaos and manic of what's the monkey's name again?
Gordy.
Gordy. Good guy. Eee.
Nope.
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 But amongst all the chaos and everything that's happening, there's this shoe that lands right, you know, and it lands straight up, and it just stays straight up, you know,
Upright.
yeah. And it's one of the things that he kind of really explicitly like he has the main character has the little boy actor
Stephen Yeun's younger version.
yeah,
in the film.
his young version of himself, right? And he looks at this and he ultimately keeps the shoe as a keepsake, right? So ultimately, why is this an important aspect of the film, right? And Fumba kind of describes into detail about like how this possibly might be a red herring, right?
Yeah, essentially. So, in terms of what a red herring is, for people who don't know, a red herring is defined as something that misleads or distracts from an important or relevant question,
Yeah.
something that distracts attention from the real issue. Right. So, it's meant to purposely take your attention away from whatever you're actually supposed to be focusing on,
Right.
or you know.
And maybe that's something interesting. Like now that you kind of bring that into discussion, maybe it was his coping mechanism. As like this chimpanzee is just beating the shit out of everybody
and eating a
There's-
woman's face. Yeah. Yeah.
he does. It's just so gross. Sorry.
It was actually really gross.
It's really
Yeah,
gross.
It's really fucked up.
So like as this is happening, maybe that was like his thing that he just focused on. It's this just thing that it was in front of him, and you know, I think that's something that could be very interesting to kind of discuss, right?
Right.
Why does he ultimately keep this?
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are a lot of.
What
there are a
does
lot
the
of
shoe mean?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Tell me.
What does it mean? Sorry. Reel it back in.
It was like, oh, take it easy.
I'm not the chimpanzee. The chimpanzee can't hurt you here.
We're safe here.
Jesus loves you.
Shut up to Jesus. No, I think that the shoe is very interesting because it means a lot. I mean, in terms of exploitation. The one take that I actually generally like, other than mine, is the idea that the shoe is a literal showcase and sign of exploitation, where a terrible thing happened and this bad miracle is literally standing upright, and he takes the shoe and he's profiting off of this tragedy, right? And he keeps this shoe as a keepsake of like, even though something terrible happened and people died, he still has somewhat of a fortune off of this shoe.
It does kind of imply his character as well, you know, like because
Yeah.
he literally takes the advice or takes the strategy that led to the success of his first big success in media, right? And he takes that and he's like, I'm gonna open a theme park, I'm gonna find a UFO, and then I'm gonna feed it fucking horses.
Yeah. 100%. Well, that's what he took away from it. Where it's
Yeah.
just like, you know, exploitation.
It doesn't
might not-
matter. It doesn't matter like how it affects the animal as long as it's doing good by me. That's
Yeah.
all that matters.
And even in his own sense, he was exploited, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like he's a child and he's treated sort of lesser than the other people on stage, and then you know he's equally as exploited, but instead of moving forward and not accepting that exploitation, he kind of doubles down and is just like, well, this is good, so I'm gonna exploit this alien.
yeah.
You know, which is very interesting, like inverse of the protagonist in this film, of like a person who refuses to be exploited and just doesn't fit in with the standard of Hollywood. So much so he acts like the animals in the sense that he hates to look people in the eye. You know, which I think is kind of interesting.
He doesn't look people in the eye.
You ever seen the beginning? You know, like his head is down the whole time. He's not looking people in the eye. Yeah, like he acts like the animals that he's taking care of. Where he's like, nah, I'm not participating in this.
Right.
But his sister does. Like his sister feeds into it because she's trying to profit off the exploitation of her and so on and so forth.
Right.
So my take on this in terms of
Interesting.
red herrings is it doesn't mean anything. Like I don't think it means. I don't think the shoe literally means anything.
Yeah.
I don't think like in terms of that theory I just told you. I think that would be the closest I can give it. But I do believe this to be a red herring, right? I do think that there is something kind of genius about it because it plays into the greater theme of Nope. I think the film highlights the exploitation of animals and black people when it comes to Hollywood entertainment and the world at large, either from amusement or utility. We are eventually discarded, or in the extreme case of Gordy, driven mad by the greedy and all-consuming nature of people. Now, what I think Jordan did that's really cool, if this is what he did, was put us as the audience members as people who are exploiting a situation as well, right? So the shoe is there and standing upright. It makes no fucking sense. Like, it's like why is this here? It's a bad miracle. It's crazy. And then we are therefore bypassing this crazy tragedy that's happening.
Why is the shoe standing?
Like we're looking at a fucking shoe, but it's also
Kind of
like,
brilliant.
But also doesn't matter. It's like what? It's just a weird thing that's happening. Are we not paying attention to the fact that a monkey just ate a woman's face? But there, are, hell,
I bet the custodian like came in afterwards and he's still sitting there and he's just like. Just knocked the fucking thing over.
Like,
that's weird. And then it's like, all right,
strange. You know what I mean? Like it's so.
I'm gonna go get a burrito.
Like it's interesting because as moviegoers and the fact that everyone apparently is a critic and or a filmmaker, we all want things to make sense. We want every aspect of film to make sense and to be tied into the greater theme. But maybe this thing doesn't have to tie into it, and maybe he's using that to poke fun at us as audience members, where we are therefore exploiting and then engaging in the spectacle of a shoe. You know,
I feel like to some extent that makes sense, but like I feel like yes, you could be partially right with this, but like I do feel like they still kind of tie it into the character itself, right? It kind of informs the character to like his ideology, and I feel like that's where like it might have been something that distracts his character in that particular time, right? As it distracts us, the audience, in that particular time, right? Why ultimately? Because like ultimately, the character keeps it. He keeps that shoe. He keeps a lot of the knickknacks from it, right? Because he's trying to exploit off of it, right? Yeah. And I think it informs like him into who he ultimately is in the present day, and I think that's something where like. It can kind of inform to the character. So I like where it's. I don't think it's like completely random. I know that's not what you're saying either, but like I don't think it's completely random. So I even though it is like something where it's like there's no real reason that it's there, but I still feel like it has some ties to like a legitimate character within the film. You know what I mean?
In terms, I 100% agree. I'm not advocating for it to be just like just a thing that's just there for no reason, for just spectacle. Because that would be ironic, and I highly doubt that Jordan Peele would do that, right? Where, in essence, it really is intrinsically tied to that character, and showcases his engagement in spectacle and exploitation. What I'm advocating for is that it plays a bit deeper than that in terms of that's as far as it goes, right? Where like anything more in terms of people were talking about like being upright. It was like the aliens manipulating the shoe, and it's like no, dog. This is inherently like tied to a character. Yeah. And anything else you're doing is engaging in spectacle. Yeah. And I think that's purposeful. Yeah. I think that was and if it isn't, it's a fucking brilliant thing that we happen to do because it only greatly strengthens the theme of the story in the sense that we all engage in spectacle, right? Especially as
I'll say when I first saw it, I was like, why the? Because you're right, it has nothing to do with the monster or UFO.
Literally nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with it, right? So you're just kind of like when you keep cutting back to these scenes, you're just like, why is this important? Yeah. Right, and I guess it kind of like they're kind of building to like this ultimate scene, which was by far my favorite scene, right, where they have this big arena. Spoiler: they have this big arena, right, that's in there, and they're like, all right, want to see something cool?
Yeah, I love that scene. Actually.
You know, like, no cell phones, everybody.
Are you ready?
You know, are you ready? And like, you know, everyone's looking at it and enjoying this big ass monster. And I'll tell you something. I didn't like this is where like the film took a different direction from a alien film to a monster film, right? Where
creature feature.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't that scene was a big pinnacle thing, and I think that's why there's so much time and dedication brought to why is this character, why is this amusement park owner acting and treating animals the way that he is, right? It's because he has this trauma and he relates it to the success that he previously had, right?
You know what's also cool that I like about this film is like no one's explicitly like a villain. No one's like this. Like June is doing this to this animal, but he's not like a bad person. Like he's not. He's just like this is just what he knows. This is just what he was.
He's not a good dude.
He's not a good person. He's not a bad. None of these people are like good people though. Like it's not.
I mean, I don't know. I think the main characters are kind of cool.
Well, I'm only saying that in the sense like this isn't necessarily a virtuistic thing. Not technically. It's virtuistic for the protagonist because he's trying to preserve the ranch because he's trying to preserve history because that's what they have. It's their home. Yeah. It needs to. He believes it needs to stay, and it does. But you know they're doing it for money, right? It's not like to save the world. It's not like
I need to pay rent.
I need to pay rent. It's essentially what they're doing. They're doing it to pay their rent, and I think it's kind of cool. It really is just. It's however you see it, right?
I think it is a big critique when you look at it, especially when you look at the documentary cinematographer in the film.
That dude.
He every single time that he's like when he's just like hanging out at his house, he's just watching these very obscure like animals like fucking killing some other animal, but it's like in black and white grainy film footage, right? And he's just like scrubbing through it and looking at it like all day, right? Every single time you cut back to it, he's just like still working on it. Jordan Peele doesn't explain exactly why, but I think what's interesting about that, kind of going off of that point that you were making, is that there is this ideology of lost my place. Am I dying?
Take it down.
No. But we're like there's media. We'll cut this out. Where there's like media and stuff like that. We're living vicariously through these really horrific events, these really horrific things that we're experiencing. We can live vicariously through them, right? And that's one of the things that I think he's kind of like trying to nail on, especially with this character, is that like, you know, there are people out there that are going to just like go out there, try and find something horrific and make it into a story and then make money off of it.
Yeah.
Welcome to media.
Yeah. Hi.
You know, like it's
TMZ.
Yeah, exactly.
TMZ. They literally show up in the film.
You know,
like,
you know, like that's the big thing with it. I think if you look at it in that aspect, it's a very, very big critique on like media and how we as a society and as a species have this weird thing where like you see a car crash, it's horrific, but you're gonna look at it.
You can't look away.
You're gonna look at it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just one of the weird things that like we kind of like go through as human beings and as natural beings on this planet. So I think on that aspect, you know, there are a lot of layers with this film, right?
Yeah.
And if you take the time to actually watch it and to watch it and kind of analyze it, it becomes a lot more deep, and then it's just a surface level horror monster flick.
No, absolutely. I fully believe that if you're interested in just really well thought out alien and or monster flicks, or just like a really fun blockbuster that requires just a little bit of
thought.
Like not to be rude, but yeah, just a little
think you bastards.
Think better. think harder. No, but just
I'm trying to.
No, but just, you know, just it's not gonna be answered in a one-time viewing.
Yeah.
Like this is a film you're absolutely gonna have to watch multiple times. But I think that's fun. You know, I think that there's enjoyment in watching a film more than once because I don't know. I feel like it's cool because let's say with the film Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Very rewatchable. Very rewatchable.
I can, yeah. I can definitely I could definitely watch it more.
I watched it 3 times.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
I want to watch it again.
Because like
I
really,
feel like I want to be a better person when I watch it.
Because I want to watch it a second time because I feel like there's just so much more you can dive into it. Because I've only seen it once, but yeah, no, it's like these films are very unique and you don't get them very often. So why not just enjoy them and enjoy them? They're worth paying $12.
Yeah, some things are meant to be just shot. Some things are meant to be watched once and to never watch it again.
And that's fine.
The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. You only need to see that once.
Yeah, no, I'm super good.
I don't need to be depressed that many times.
Super good
I'm never gonna be on a Saturday morning and be like, it sounds really good to me. Yeah. Schindler's List. No. Like there's films that you can watch once, and then there's films where it's like, okay, let me take this and look at it again and again and again, and I can take something away from it every time.
Like The Irishman, I'm super good on not seeing it again.
Yeah. I also don't need to see Robert De Niro walk around like look like a 40-year-old man, but walk around like he's 80. It doesn't.
Also, like Jill, like he's in a GTA.
Yeah, he doesn't. It doesn't look good. It's not my favorite film. Yeah. But yeah, like a great example, Christopher Nolan's Memento. You can look at any Christopher Nolan film. To Tenet, I think I can only see one time.
Oh yeah, I'm super.
That one broke my heart.
I was not a fan of that one.
But like I feel like Jordan Peele. You could say a lot about his style and everything, but he is very rewatchable and he puts butts in the seat. And I think as we're going back to that blockbuster thing, he's absolutely a blockbuster of a director, of an artist. And, I think that's one thing that a lot of people strive to be, is to have people like watch it and to analyze it and critique it. That's something that as artists, that's what you crave for, that you want people to be talking about it, whether it be good or bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good movie. Fantastic blockbuster.
It's amazing.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. What? Why?
10 out of 10. I personally think it's one of my favorite films, and not the favorite film of the year so far. Just a little bit above Everything Everywhere All at Once, just because of the nuance of it. Yeah. It's really fucking cool. But yeah, Jordan Peele did his thing.
He's a blockbuster director, and that's the one thing you can say about him. He puts butts in the seats, you know, and that's one thing, like as artists, we all crave to get to a certain level of success where it's like you have people you have such a mass audience that are people who are watching your art, watching your craft, right? That they're actually giving you critique, right? And even if you don't like it, even if it's not warranted or if it's just fucking stupid, right? You're having people that are watching it, enjoying it, analyzing it, looking at your craft.
There's a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? What do you feel like? This is the best horror film ever made? Do you feel like it's the worst horror film ever made? Leave your likes, comments, subscribes down below, and feel free to check us out on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music. Podcast.
Yeah.
Yee. We don't make music. I can't sing.
We could. Yeah.
I wasn't. I really thought about it for a second.
That was on the table.
Yeah, it'd be like.
But yo, thank you guys so much.
It's me.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Stay hungry, y'all.
Yeah, stay hungry. Peace. Subscribe.